Hello, and welcome to Heart Containers, a Nintendo podcast where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we discuss the latest Nintendo news. That might sound a little different than you're used to, but we're going to get into that in a second. I'm your host, Rami Fawaz, and this is the episode for Monday, April 1st, also known as April Fools Day. But what is not a joke is that this show is officially changing its scheduling plan. I've had trouble keeping up with the daily schedule. I can't get it out as consistently as I want to, and I also can't always guarantee the quality of the show, considering that there isn't a steady stream of news to talk about every single day when it comes to the world of Nintendo. I wish there was. I feel like I've been doing a decent enough job about finding smaller stories that can kind of evolve into more interesting conversations beyond the scope of the story itself, just so that we have enough content to consume every single day. But I feel like going from 5 days a week to 3 days a week, which is what we're going to be doing from this point onward, is not only going to allow me to be more consistent throughout these weeks of Heart Containers, but also narrow down the stories that you really need to know about. Because even though there is not nearly that much information to share on a daily basis, there is still a ton of Nintendo news and content to get throughout a week that we can for sure fill 3 slots. So I'm going to be going with that for the foreseeable future. Again, things might change in the future, and I think that's the beauty of this show. I have a goal. I want to make sure that you guys consistently learn more about Nintendo, and I am the one curating that news for you in the best way possible, and it's going to continue to evolve. This show is going to hopefully turn into something that becomes a regular part of your routine, and I'm going to continue to try to figure out what that means exactly. So let's just get into today's show. We have a handful of things that we're going to be talking about. I mentioned earlier, it's April Fool's Day, and just like that, there's already some April Fools Shenanigans going around in the Nintendo ecosphere, as well as the games. This is the beginning of April, so we're going to talk about not only the games that are coming out this week that you should pay attention to, but the games that you should pay attention to throughout the rest of the month. There's an awesome story about Nintendo partnering with Amazon and Twitch specifically to give out free yearly subscriptions to Nintendo Switch Online, which I did take advantage of, and I want you guys to as well if you have that opportunity. So let's just get into today's news.
Well, the wait is over. This is Nintendo DS. My body is ready.
We would like to play.
A way to make 3D games a reality. And it's called the Wii U Game Pen.
April is probably the month that's going to be most known for third-party ports when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. We're going to start off the month tomorrow with Darksiders War Mastered Edition, a game that we've talked about multiple times on the show. It's a Zelda-like, so if you're interested in Zelda games and you need to fill that void on the Nintendo Switch, look into Darksiders when it releases tomorrow. Then we have Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, a series where it lets you play as a lawyer, but in a game. It's kind of hard to describe exactly the type of gameplay and who this is for in just a short blurb, but I will say if it at all interests you, this series of games, which it should, because it is actually kind of fun, despite how boring it might sound to play as a lawyer in a video game. You can download these games on iOS and Android, and I believe they're free to start. So you can actually get a little taste about what Phoenix Wright is all about before you actually buy into it. I think that's a really good way to know if this franchise is for you, because a lot of people really love this franchise and a lot of people really associate it with Nintendo. It made a name for itself during the DS era, and rightfully so. The DS was a perfect console for that type of gameplay. Next, we have Final Fantasy titles galore. We're finally going to finish the Final Fantasy catalog that Square Enix promised was coming over to the Nintendo Switch. It started with Final Fantasy IX in the end of February. Then last month we got Final Fantasy VII, and now this month on the 16th, starting on the 16th, you're going to get 10 and 10-2. Those remasters are coming out for the Nintendo Switch, and Final Fantasy 12 at the very end of the month on the 30th, and I'm pretty sure that's it when it comes to Final Fantasy. So if you haven't found a Final Fantasy type game that you were interested in, well, this is your chance to look it up. Otherwise, I think you're out of luck here, unless you're interested in Dragon Quest, which is similar, and that's going to come out later this year. That's actually what I'm waiting for. These Final Fantasy ports I'm not very interested in. I want something new, and people really love Dragon Quest 11, so I'm looking forward to that when it comes out on the Nintendo Switch. And then finally, you have Cuphead. That's the really big port coming to the Switch, I think, in this month. It's going to be a head turner for the whole month of April. It's breaking its Xbox console exclusivity on the 18th, right in the middle. This is a game that I'm very much looking forward to. I had not had the chance to play it because I didn't own an Xbox One, and now that I have it on Switch, I can play it with me on the go. Even though I get frustrated, I'm going to be able to easily pick it back up because I know that this game has a reputation for being hard. And not only that, it's just a moment. It's just a moment in the gaming industry where Microsoft is playing nice with Nintendo, and I want to be a part of that. So that's going to come out in the middle of April. Now let's talk about new releases. Well, we don't really have that many significant new releases coming out this month that we know about when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo Switch is getting Mortal Kombat 11 just like its competitors, the PS4 and the Xbox One. And that's pretty significant because third parties don't always bring their games over to the Nintendo Switch when they're brand new games, you know, breaking ground in 2019. That doesn't really happen. We see ports like we talked about earlier, like those Final Fantasy ports and this Darksiders War Mastered port. But that's not the case for Mortal Kombat 11. It's launching for the Nintendo Switch on the 23rd of April, and its content complete when compared to its competitors. It's going to have all of the same content as it does on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And if you look at early reports, they're suggesting that it's running smoothly on the Nintendo Switch, even in handheld mode. That's super impressive. That means if you're a Mortal Kombat fan at all, there is a real decision to be made about whether or not you should pick up the handheld version or the console versions that might maybe run a little better, probably or definitely look better, but do not have the flexibility of taking it wherever you want to go. So Mortal Kombat 11 on the 23rd is pretty much all you can expect when it comes to new games. And then some DLC. We do have big DLC updates coming to the Nintendo Switch on some favorite franchises, including the indie hit Shovel Knight, the final campaign for that game. Again, Shovel Knight actually came out a while ago for the 3DS and the Wii U. That's basically how that started. But since that point, they've been releasing campaigns where you get to play as some of the bosses in that game. They've released 2 already, but they promised 3. And this is the 3rd one. It's called King of Cards. I'm very much looking forward to it. I played both of the campaigns. I love them. I think I even love them more than Shovel Knight itself. It's just so well done. Yacht Club Games really knows how to capture that old-timey feel of playing an NES or SNES game, but making it still feel modern. It's not exactly the same thing as actually playing an NES game. It's what you remember it feeling like. They capture nostalgia perfectly with the Shovel Knight franchise, and so King of Cards is a no-brainer. It doesn't have a set release date. It just says April of this year, so expect to hear more about it sometime throughout the month. And finally, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is set to get its Spring 3.0 update sometime this month. We don't know anything about it. We just know that in February, during that Nintendo Direct, they said, hey, pay attention to this. Super Smash Bros. Is getting a big update in 3.0. There were some rumors saying that there might be a level creator. I think that came out of a data mine where they said, hey, this actually says level creator or whatever it might be. That might be coming. That might be coming at some point in April, as well as the addition of Persona 5's Joker as the first big third-party DLC character to join the Smash roster. That should be coming out around the same time. They also mentioned that it's going to be April along the lines of the Spring 3.0 update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So there is a lot to pay attention to when it comes to DLC. There's a whole lot going on for the month of April when it comes to ports. In terms of new content, unless you're a fighter fan, there's not really much going on. Hopefully Nintendo announces a couple more things to get that ball rolling. But until we get further into spring, closer to the summer, you're probably not going to see big games being announced or being released from Nintendo. The first big one, brand new one that Nintendo released was actually last week in Yoshi's Crafted World, and I've been playing a whole ton of that. But we have some more time to wait before Nintendo really starts hitting home when it comes to their first party content. That's probably something you can expect in the summer. But April still looks like a good time. And yes, April Fools is today. And although there's still very much day left to be had at the time of this recording, we've already seen a couple fun announcements by Nintendo to celebrate the holiday. First, you have the official Japanese website for Kirby, as they revealed a brand new look for their hungry protagonist, Square Kirby. That's right, it's pretty much just Kirby as a square, or when you look at the 3D renders, he's basically a cube. The site had some old art pieces from their games. They have a new cornered Kirby in 3D in the spirit of Kirby Star Allies. And in yarn form, they have Kirby's epic yarn. So, I mean, yeah, you can imagine what that looks like. It's just a piece of string in a square with Kirby's face in the middle. Yeah, it's kind of fun. And in response to that, the developers of the Box Boy series announced that QB, the star of their franchise, will now be circular. So you have a traditionally circular mascot who's now square, and a traditionally square mascot who's now circular. That's as far as the joke goes for April Fools. And the only other thing that I could find in terms of new April Fools jokes that we already know about at the time of this recording, of course, is that Niantic, the developer for Pokemon Go, well, they updated the, the snapshot mode for the game so that you can get photobombed by both Ash Ketchum, the popular protagonist for the original Pokemon anime, and I think still the animes to this day, or his personal Pikachu, which I'm guessing is just his Pikachu with the Ash Ketchum hat on. I think that's what I read. So if you take screenshots at some amount, at some capacity in Pokemon Go throughout April 1st, you might get photobombed by Ash or his Pikachu. So I'm sure that we're going to find a lot more going on throughout April Fools throughout the rest of the day. I'm curious to know if Nintendo themselves, like Nintendo of America or the official Nintendo website, decides that they want to announce something funny for April Fools, like, hey, here's a Switch 2, or, you know, I don't know if that's not that funny, right? But they know what they're doing. They can think of something cooler than that. That'd be fun to look into. And I want to finish off the show by saying, if you have an Amazon Prime or a Twitch Prime membership, listen up to this news because it is very important and very, very cool. So Twitch Prime, if you don't know, that is the subscription service for the Twitch game streaming website. It gives you all these cool goodies. It lets you subscribe to one of your favorite creators once a month, stuff like that. I honestly have never been a Twitch Prime subscriber. I don't do a lot of Twitch. I am an Amazon Prime subscriber, and that's where things get interesting for me, because if you are a Twitch Prime subscriber, you are now eligible for a full year of Nintendo Switch Online, starting from now until the promotion ends on September 24th. I had no idea exactly what that meant, so I went in to read more about it. Apparently, since I have an Amazon Prime subscription, all I had to do was go to twitchprime.com and then sync up my Amazon Prime with Twitch Prime. It just basically all that means, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you get Twitch Prime for free. And if you have Twitch Prime, you get Nintendo Switch Online for free, as long as you do participate in this promotion before September 24th. So you go to the Twitch Prime website, you sign up for this, and they will give you a full year subscription to Nintendo Switch Online with no extra cost. There is one catch to all of this, and it's that you only get the first 3 months for free from the start. You have to remain subscribed to Twitch Prime for 60 days after the fact in order to get the next 9 months of Nintendo Switch Online as promised. I'm guessing that the reason they do this is to avoid people maybe using the free trial for Nintendo or for Twitch Prime, or maybe only subscribing for a month and then they essentially get a full year of Switch Online for free. They want you to be subscribed to Twitch Prime for 2 to 3 months in order for you to get the free Nintendo Switch Online subscription. It's a whole lot of online services, subscription nonsense. All you have to know is that if you have Twitch Prime already or Amazon Prime, you could add on an additional yearly subscription onto your current Nintendo Switch Online right now. Or if you don't have it, this could be your chance to play Nintendo games online, get cloud saving, all that great stuff for the next year without necessarily having to fork down the $20 that it would cost you in order to do that normally. This is actually really cool from Nintendo. I'm pretty surprised that they decided to do something like this, if I'm being honest, just because I don't know how much Nintendo could possibly be getting from Twitch, from Amazon, in terms of the money when subscribing to Twitch Prime, right? Like, I paid Nintendo $20 to get my first full year of Nintendo Switch Online, and now I have 2 full years of Nintendo Switch Online, essentially. I mean, they pushed back my renew date, or they're going to push back my renew date from September of 2019 back to September of 2020, and I probably only gave Nintendo a portion of my Twitch Online or my Twitch Prime subscription in order to do that. Maybe it's just because right now they're trading short-term profits. They're trading like the near future where they could be making more money, again, if they took the money straight from me, but they want to make sure that they are maybe lasting the subscription service. They want you to be in it for the long term, and that's where this decision is coming from. I can definitely see that as being the case. If you look at someone maybe who was not in the Nintendo Switch Online ecosystem, but did have a Twitch Prime subscription, well, now they can jump in, they can get all of the benefits of Nintendo Switch Online, play the NES games, hopefully play the SNES games that are bound to come out at some point this year or within the next year, and then say, hey, this was awesome, I have all these cloud saves, I really enjoy what I'm doing here, and then when the year is up, instead of letting that lapse, they do decide, hey, no, I can't live without this. I really need it. So I do see where they're coming from. It was a little weird for me at first, but regardless of how this affects the business, you should definitely take advantage of it if you can. And that's everything that I had to talk to you guys today. If you have any comments or questions, thoughts, concerns about the show or anything that we talked about, feel free to head over to the website, heartcontainerspodcast.com. You can contact me pretty easily over there, or you can reach me more personally on Twitter, where my handle is @RomeFawaz. That's ROMEFAWAZ. This has been Heart Containers for April Fool's Day, Monday, April 1st. Thank you so much for joining me today, and make sure you tune in on Wednesday, not tomorrow, Wednesday, for your next news update.